What's going on, traders? Welcome back to another video here on Boiler Room Trading. So I wanted to go live today because I want to talk about the stock LFIN. Now, I know many of you are familiar with this particular stock because we talked about it today on our live stream, and then we also talked about it, in our trading room. So there's a lot of people talking about LFIN. Everybody's curious what's going on. A lot of new investors got stuck in the stock. A lot of people are still holding in the stock. They were holding from a couple days ago. They just got in today, and now the stock has been halted. Not a volatility halt, but a T12 halt. All right. So in this video, we're going to talk to you about the T12 halt that's taking place right now in LFIN. What you can do, which is not really much, and what you can expect to happen, and what's really going on right now. And this is exactly why earlier today in the pre-market live stream, right? If you want to verify and go back and watch our live stream from this morning, our watch list, you will hear me specifically mention for all newer traders and for majority of people to stay away from trading LFIN today. It's not worth the risk. And what do you know? It gets halted on a T12 halt. We're going to talk all about that. What's going on, Mike? What's going on, Jack, Chris, Mike again? So let me read some of these comments here, and then we'll get going and get rocking on this, right? Yes. I hope it is not, Chris. Right. So let's talk about this, right? What's going on with LFIN? So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and then we're going to get rolling on this, all right? So let's do that right now, and then we'll talk about everything that's basically going on with this particular stock right now. All right. Wait 1 second. All right. So LFIN right now, as you can see my screen, this particular stock. And let's look at it from a longer time frame. All right, we're going to take a look at this from a longer time frame. We're going to go all the way back. We're going to go all the way back to look at a yearly time frame, and then we're going to dive deeper, and we're going to start looking at what actually happened over the past couple days. Break it down as best as we can, and then go from there. All right. So 1 second. This guy right there. All right, so first things first, let me get these tools up here. All right, cool. So this is LFIN from a yearly time frame. All right, if you're not familiar, which I know some of you are, and some of the things that I'm about to tell you are some things you already know, but back when it first became traded on the market on its IPO in 2 days, it only took 2 days for the stock to go from 4 to 142. That is unheard of. Now, this type of movement is only going to happen when a stock has a really low float, okay? You're only going to find a movement that big with the stock that has a low float and it's being traded on very high volume, okay? That's the only time a move like that is ever going to take place. And as you can see, there was a ton of volume when the stock first started trading. All right, there was a massive volume, 15 million volume, right? But the stock only, I think its float was only around 1 million shares, right? So that's a very low float, and that's a lot of volume to be traded on, one or a couple days on that particular stock. All right, so the only time you're going to get a movement like that is with low float, high volume. All right, now the next thing is, why did it go from 4 to 142? Well, the reason is because there was a bunch of news. As soon as this company went public, as soon as it had its IPO, this particular company released a bunch of news that it basically had to do with blockchain. They were creating their own cryptocurrency and blah, blah, blah. When this company first became publicly traded, they became publicly traded right around the time that you were seeing a lot of, and let me actually do this, see if that works. It became publicly traded right around the time that a bunch of the big blockchain news was hitting stocks and everybody was going crazy. Every stock that had blockchain news would fly up, and that's exactly what happened. During this IPO, this was the moment when a bunch of stocks started hopping on the bandwagon of cryptocurrency and blockchain related technology. And that's what drove that price up. And then obviously the contributing factors were the fact it was a low float stock, high volume, and it had a bunch of cryptocurrency blockchain news. The stock flew from $4 to $142. In that day that the stock was being traded, I watched the stock get halted maybe 10 or 12 times in a row going up. It got halted once. Literally, this is what it looked like. It would get halted here, 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 here. It went like this all day long, up and up and up, and just got halted maybe 10 times in a row, up and up, right? It didn't get put on a T12 halt. There's volatility halts where the stock's moving so fast that it gets halted to slow down the buying or the selling. And then they, of course, will resume trading in a few minutes once things kind of cool down, essentially, and they're able to kind of project where the price should realistically open up at, okay? But the difference is a T12 halt, right? So you have volatility, but you also have a T12 halt. A T12 halt is basically an investigation, right? The reason you go on a T12 halt is for an investigation. And we're not going to spell it all out, right? You're going on a halt for investigation. The only time stocks get or companies get investigated is when there is red flags and belief that there is shady activity taking place within this company. There must be some shady, possible scammy activity taking place in this such stock. All right. So if you look at, let's look at what happened. We went from 4 to 469, unheard of. There was massive short selling. All right, massive short selling right there, which then ended up driving the price, and selling pressure that drove the price all the way down from 142 to about a bottom at, let's say, what, $40, 40, maybe $35. All right. Once the stock started to base out and find, some support in here, all the short sellers in here, 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 and here, they all covered up their positions, which then started a short squeeze again, right here. And then what happened is Citron was investigating LFIN. Citron Research, you can look them up. They started investigating LFIN, which is right there. This is the company. They started researching them, okay? Next thing you know, Citron Research comes up with some information that points to red flags, very shady. He releases a tweet to short LFIN. Next thing you know, LFIN gets reshorted. It goes from $76 all the way down to a low of $4 or something like $8 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. It goes from 80 to basically $6. That's a huge, huge move to the downside, a huge, huge short. Okay, so a bunch of people made a ton of money shorting the stock there. Then what happens? Okay, the stock right here eventually bases out, and all the short sellers start covering up their positions, which ends up causing this squeeze again. All right, so let's go and look at a closer time frame. So over the past 5 days, this is the movement you're seeing, or sorry, maybe the last 4 days, right? From here and on. This was the move that started all the short squeeze. And you can see right here, short squeezed out. Actually, let me zoom in more and get a little closer. So as you can see, there was multiple little short squeezes that were taking place. One there, one here, here, and right there, okay, up until current day. So ideally, what we're looking at was this big move to the downside from here, this huge move from here to here was shorting, okay, and let me clear that up. And then when you come into present day, this move here was all those short sellers closing out the position, all right? They all closed out their position, and they're what's causing this to go up, along with people buying, right? There's still people buying the stock and causing it to go up, but the whole move started from a short squeeze, all right? One second. And if you look at the news for the past couple days, all of it's really been bad news, puts short selling. There's a class action lawsuit, right? If you look on 4/4, so just 2 days ago, there was a class action lawsuit filed against LFIN. Is that good news? No, that's horrible news, and the stock is still going up. Why do you think that's the case? Well, because these short sellers are like, whoa, this thing's going under class action lawsuit. I'm probably just going to get out now before stuff gets worse, right? It could end up, so they start squeezing, right? There's a lot of uncertainty what's going on with this stock, right? You think short sellers may want to continue holding after that type of news. Well, once it starts squeezing, they're going to get out, right? So there's class action lawsuits being filed against them. Long story short, the reason LFIN has been halted on this T12 halt is because of this. Their stock skyrockets, it dumps out, it skyrockets again, it dumps out, now it's skyrocketing again. This stock is up 300% over the past 3 days, so about 100% move every single day. This stock has been going up for 3 days, all right? 3 days it's been going up for 100%. There's been a lot of shady activity. If you just look at the chart, it's shady. Nothing goes from 4 to 142, then from 142 down to 36, and then from 36 to 80, and then from 80 to 5, and then from 5 to 25. You want me to repeat that? 4 to 142, 142 down to 30, 30 to 80, 80 to 5, 5 to 25. Stocks do not move like that. I mean, it did, but that is not regular movement, okay? There may be some manipulation going on, possibly, but low float stocks and high volume will cause these type of movements. But more or less, LFIN has been halted on a T12 halt. What does this mean? This means that at least for the next 10 days, this stock right here is not going anywhere. This stock has been paused, right? Literally, this stock is paused right now. It's not going anywhere. So for the next 10 days, the SEC is going to be doing an investigation on LFIN. They're going to be digging in deep. They're going to be looking at 8K filings. They're going to be looking at the 10K filings. They're going to be looking at potential 13Ds. Any type of filing, they're going to be looking for. Oh, not to mention, let me actually pull this up. 1 second. Here we go. Let's take a look at this. Let me pull up this real quick. This is LFIN's website. I just decided to go and do a little bit of research of my own. Let's figure out exactly who this company really is. What do you know? We go into investor relations in here to SEC filings. You can pull up their 10K. 10K is a yearly report. You have 10Qs and you have 10Ks. A 10Q is a quarterly report for financials, revenue, earnings, EPS, things like that, right? And then you have a 10K. A 10K is a yearly summary of all the money made, money going out, assets, things like that. We're not going to dive super deep into it, but I will pull this up real fast just to give you guys an idea of who LFIN Corporation is, right? So now we're asking ourselves, who in the hell is LFIN Corporation? Well, let's do a little bit of deeping, and I'm just going to show you the revenue that they've made for the past year. Where is it at? Keep scrolling, right? And you can even go into this 10K filing, and it's going to show you, everything that their company does, their core business. They have things to do with supposedly artificial intelligence. They work with blockchain power technology. They work with an exchange trading company, Singapore Exchange here, right? They work with, hold on. They work with like Singapore Exchange Limited Company. You could look up them. You could see what all these businesses, their motto is, what they're into. You don't necessarily have to go that deep. The reason I'm looking into this is because it's on a T12 halt. So I myself want to know, this stock goes from 4 to 142, then it goes from 142 to 30, then 30 to 80, then 80 to 5, then 5 to 25. I want to know what the hell's up with this company. So I myself, I'm going to do a little bit of research too. And if you come down, you'll end up finding it eventually. Hold on. Their revenue, look at this. This is basically the funniest thing. Their revenue is trash. Okay, look at this. Revenue, $75,048. Okay. What else do we got here? A loss of operations. So their loss of operating expense is $100,000. Okay. So basically, their operating expense so far this year outweighs the revenue. So they're basically they're horrible. Long story short, you could look at all these all day, and it's just funny because for the year, so from February 1st to February 1st, 2017 to December 31st, 2017, they only brought in $75,000. Granted, right? February to December is not all that long of a time period, but 75,000 and your stock goes from in 1 year and you're in that time frame, but your stock goes from 5 to 140, hardly any income. It doesn't add up, right? It doesn't make sense. That's like saying Amazon goes from 5 to 140, but you know what I'm saying? Amazon, the reason Amazon's up so big because they're legitimately worth 140 a share. LFIN, not even close to anywhere worth that, okay? Just based on some simple fundamentals, okay? We're not gonna dive too much more into that. So that's just funny to look at in that perspective. So right now, it's on a T12 halt, right? It's on a T12 halt. It's not gonna be unhalted for at least 10 days. So real quick, I'm gonna unshare the screen and we're gonna talk and then we'll jump back. So it's on a T12 halt right now, guys. So that means for at least the next 10 days, this stock is not going anywhere. It's gonna stay exactly where it's at. What does this mean? It means the SEC, Security and Exchange Commission, they're doing an investigation. They're going to dive into the 8Ks. They're going to look at the 10Ks. They're going to do background research on the CEO, vice presidents. They're going to dive into the board of directors. They're going to see what they're about. They're going to look at, who they may be affiliated with, right? This investigation will go very deep, right? Because they're trying to figure out what kind of business is LFIN trying to run here. Right? They say they're an import and export financing company or something. They say that they work with artificial intelligence. And then, of course, now they're a blockchain cryptocurrency company. So there's a lot of uncertainty. Who is LFIN? So that's what the SEC is going to do. They're going to figure out what are they really up to, right? It's already been delisted from the Russell, right? Russell 2000. They already delisted it, right? So there's another red flag. So people are very weary of LFIN. This is why I told all of our traders this morning just to stay away from it. I actually traded it, a quick in and out. I traded it, quick in and out, and I made a little bit of money, but I said to myself, I'm not even gonna mess with it anymore. It's too shady. It could dump at any moment. It could halt at any moment. I'm not gonna risk it. And sure enough, 10 minutes later, it goes on a T12 halt. So again, the stock's not going anywhere for 10 days. It's gonna be investigated. But what does that mean after the investigation? Well, after the 10-day investigation concludes, and usually it's 10 days. Usually it's 10 days for the halt, but it's also possible that after it gets unhalted, they will suspend trading till further notice, okay? So once the T12 halt concludes, they can further suspend trading on this particular ticker, okay? On the flip side, the halt could resume and then trading can conclude. Do I know where the price is going to open up at? No. Is it going to go higher? Maybe, but probably not after a T12, obviously. But who knows where the price is going to open up at? We don't know. Nothing is going to happen, and we're not going to find out until this halt resumes, and then the news breaks, or it's either going to be suspended on trading. It's possible it gets delisted, right? It's very possible that they could come back and say that this is a very fraudulent company, right? And then they're going to delist the stock, right? They'll delist actually trading this stock. And then what's going to happen? Then there's going to be a huge probably another huge class action lawsuit against LFIN after a T12 halt in relation to investors' capital maybe getting tied up within the company through the halt and losses acquired, et cetera, et cetera. You guys get the point now, right? Did you also know that during this T12 halt, the SEC immediately froze all of LFIN's assets? Right now, LFIN has zero control to any of their assets. The SEC froze them. So you get where this is all going, right? You have to be very weary of trading stocks like this for reasons like this, okay? You don't want to get yourself caught up in one. You don't want to be ended up being in a class action lawsuit and all this stuff, right? So there was a question I also received today. So that's it, right, guys? It's going to be halted for 10 days. SEC is investigating them. It could be trading could be suspended. It could have ended up getting delisted. We don't know where the price is going to open up at. Right now, we know that it's halted. Their assets are all frozen. Plenty of people's money stuck in it. And that's why beginner traders should stay away from stocks like these. Not necessarily all like penny stocks and good runners. Not saying you should stay away from them entirely, but you have to be very careful of what you're trading. Imagine if you're just in some chat room today and some guy goes, buy LFIN, go in 500, go in 1,000 or whatever, and your account only has 1,000, right? And you're like, I'm gonna do that. This thing's running. You get T12 halt, next thing you know, it's delisted or it gets unhalted. You lose all your money. As a beginner trader, you can't afford that risk. You just can't. They look appealing. They go high. They fly. You make a lot of money, but you just can't risk it, right? But someone like me, I traded today, and even I told myself, I'm getting out of it. This thing's sketchy. I don't want to risk it. Even my account can handle that, and I'm like, I'm not going to do it, right? So then I had the question that William is asking, talk about options, please. We're not going to go into options on this video, but I will mention this. Like William Richards, okay, he got options. All right, he's got put options. Do I know what's going to happen to those options? No, I don't. But here's the deal: if the T12 halt once it resumes, and if trading does resume, to answer William's question, and the price ends up dropping significantly, yeah, essentially your puts would be worth a lot, right? If it really dumps out and you got puts on it, yeah, your puts are probably going to go up in price. The only thing that I fear could happen with maybe the option trading is on that, it's possible, like say they get delisted or something crazy happens. I don't know for sure, so I will do some more research on it. But if it gets delisted, and here's the thing, because you're not going to be able to sell your options until trading resumes on it. And for what I see happening is it's possible that after this T12 halt happens, the price may end up dropping. But if it's a sketchy business and it runs the risk of being delisted, there's not going to be a lot of open interest in the option market for the stock no longer. There was when it was really high and it was supposed to come down, but now that it's being flagged as maybe fraudulent, scammy, what's going on, the open interest or people that are trying to trade those options, it might evaporate, meaning it might be harder to get rid of some of your options. Now, granted, there's more that goes into that, and I just think that this is going to be serious for both options traders and it's going to be serious for both day traders, right? Expiration until April 20th. Well, April 20th is in what, 14 days? Yeah, so your options aren't going to expire by the time you would assume it gets unhalted. If it gets unhalted after the 10 days trading resumes, you can probably get out of your options, right? So here's the thing, William. I don't know for sure, right? I've never been in an experience where I've had puts and then something gets T12 halted. I don't know, right? And I haven't traded options long enough to give you a full sense of that aspect. But from what I can say, when this price goes down, there's going to be a lot less open interest, right? I wouldn't want to buy put. I wouldn't want to buy calls. I wouldn't want to buy puts on a company that might get delisted. Who knows, right? That's under investigation, something like this. It could be a little scary. So you see, it may just expire. You don't know for sure. So there's a lot into it, but I'll get around to making a video about that. I actually like that idea. So does anybody have any questions here? Anything at all? I mean, that's basically it, right? LFIN, halted, under investigation, assets frozen. It is what it is. I told people to stay away from it today. I did. So if any of you guys got any questions, feel free to ask them now. If not, thank you guys once again for tuning into the Boiler Room. I hope you like this video, this little mini investigation done on SEC. I hope it helps you understand some risks involved in trading some of these stocks and kind of give you an idea of what you should be aware of when you're trading, right? And it's not always best to take the big runner and trade the biggest stock when you are a beginner trader. All right. So thank you guys once again for tuning in, and I will see you guys all on Monday morning for another Hot Stock Watch List.